The last signs of summer have begun to slip away here in Montana. This morning when I got to the barn, I saw we had our first really serious frost of the winter.
Whip. Gus. Hey. Huckleberry? Come on.
With the grass conserving a bunch of energy that it's going to need to survive through the winter, now is the time where I start pulling all of the horses off of the big pasture. While there is still quite a bit of grass out here, it is not safe for these guys to be eating. There was the tiniest little sheet of ice on their water this morning, so the addition of the tank heaters is not really that far off. It would probably be a good idea for me to just toss them in so the horses continue to drink the amount of water that they need. When you are taking care of horses at a colder climate like Montana, it's important that they're offered water that is just a tiny bit on the warm side.
Come on, buddy.
If the water is too cold, the horses will not drink as much, and that can lead to all kinds of problems.
Drop. Hey, Nigel. Hey, baby buddy.
Scarlett did stay outside last night in her round pen, so this morning I'm going to bring her in and give her her breakfast in here. Hopefully she'll start to like it a little bit more inside this barn.
Hey, buddy. Oh, Ziggy. What?
I left a few little turds in Scarlett's stall last night just so it hopefully is a little bit more familiar when I go to put her in this morning. With the temperature dipping down around 20 degrees last night, Scarlett is a little bit on the fresh side this morning.
Whoa, girl.
This will be a good test for her to see how well I've done to prepare her to go in her stall. This is the whole amount of time it took me today. I did speed it up to about 6 times. But as you can see, she is getting a lot better every single session I have with her. A lot of you guys have been wondering where Huckleberry has been, and honestly he's a little bit hard to get out of bed in the morning when it gets cold. He also gets a little bit scared with horses kind of moving around too much in the barn, so while I'm training Scarlett, he has been staying at home. I'm gonna let Scarlett eat her breakfast, and then I'll probably stick her outside a little bit later on today.
Nigel?
When I went to give Nigel his food, I noticed something a
Whoa.
little bit strange. He had a few little tiny red spots on him. I think it's blood. I'm gonna have to investigate this a little bit later when I'm done feeding all of the horses.
Frisco Bill?
I've been doing a lot of extra chores lately to get ready for winter, and today I finally feel like I have all of my ducks in a row. I've got a pretty solid routine down for all of the horses now, so I can pretty much get through chores in the morning without thinking too hard about anything. Since I am on autopilot, that does give my brain lots of time to think about the possibility of adding another horse to my little herd. Every summer is different, and this summer it seemed like I was battling a lot of injuries between myself and also the horses that I currently have. It is really nice now going into winter that I have everybody sound and healthy, including myself. A new horse would take up a little bit more of my time and resources, but the mental clarity to bring a new horse onto the property is something that I always wait to have before I go shopping. I really do prefer to get a new horse in the fall. That's when there are the most at risk. Spring and summertime, people are usually looking for summer projects. With all of the pasture and hay in Montana, it is a little bit cheaper to keep a horse in the summer as well. When the weather starts going south, people will thin their herds just so they can get through the winter easier. Typically this time of year I don't see any very skinny horses yet, but some things that come through the auction typically are horses that maybe people bought as a project and never got around to. There are also a lot of younger horses like Scarlett. I purchased Scarlett about 2 years ago around this same exact time. Currently, I don't know if I have the time commitment to get another horse like Scarlett. This time of year is tricky because it is really a lot more work to keep a horse in my quarantine pen when the weather gets bad. I do not have any electricity that I can run out there, so the water does freeze, and that just makes it a lot harder to quarantine a horse in a better location. It was kind of cool to see Huckleberry sneaking around this morning on the hunt for a few little mice. He is bred to be a herding dog, but he basically was raised by his little cat friend, so there's a lot of things that he does that I'm sure he picked up from Tiny.
Come on, buddy. Let's go. Come on. Come on, buddy. Boy, want a horse treat? It's a horse treat. Come on.
I've got a few essential chores that I need to get done this morning. I need to clean out Scarlett's round pen, and I am going to drag it again. Hopefully this is the last little wet spot I have to deal with. It's really hard to get this dried out, especially when it gets below freezing overnight. Unfortunately, I did forget that I am out of fuel for the four-wheeler, so I'm going to have to go into town and get some before I do any more chores. But before I leave for the day, I'm going to have to do some investigating on what exactly happened to Nigel overnight. There seem to be just 3 little light
Frisco
pink
Bill?
spots, and I'm pretty sure that it's because Frisco Bill has something wrong with a tooth, or maybe he
Here.
cut his little lip.
You okay? Frisco Bill. Oh, Frisco Bill. Hey, old boy.
After doing a quick little investigation of Frisco Bill's mouth, thankfully it is not a problem with his teeth. Since he is so old, there is a possibility that he could just start losing teeth at any time. But today I noticed he did have a little bit of a cut underneath his top lip. He may have bit it or hit it while he was playing with Nigel. These 2 old boys do like to play with each other like grumpy old boys do, so it's not really a big deal. It really is just a tiny little scrape, and it looks like Frisco Bill is still able to eat normally. Of course, I will keep an eye on it just to make sure it doesn't get infected or anything like that, but it is a really tiny little cut. I do have a few more errands to run in town, so I'm gonna pop in, and I'm actually picking up a check from some items I had on consignment. The last couple of months I've had a lot of vet bills, so my new horse fund is looking a little bit on the slim side. One of the ways I make sure I never buy horses that are way out of my budget is by bringing cash to the horse sale. This is a really good start to my new horse fund. When I was tucking this envelope away in a secret spot in my truck, I found $200 more that I had set aside after I sold a saddle last month. Eventually, I made it back to the barn about 2 o'clock. I was really excited to see that Scarlett finally found her way out to her little run on her own.
Hey, Nigel. Hey, little girl. What are you doing out here? Being a good girl?
Before I even consider getting a new horse, I have to make sure I have enough feed to get these guys through the winter. I went through a little bit more of these small square bales of hay than I thought I would. So today I'm going to be cleaning out that hay stall, and then I'm going to go pick up another load. I'm always trying to get the most out of my time here at the barn, so while I'm doing some cleaning, I'm going to turn Scarlett and Ziggy out in the small arena. I feel like these two have gotten to know each other well enough through their stall, and then today through the run. She is not nearly as fresh as she was the other day, so it's looking like today is the perfect time to introduce these two horses to each other. Scarlett has been out with Frisco Bill when she was younger, and then Stewie took over her herd training. It'll be really interesting to see how these two horses get together, because so far Ziggy has had trouble finding a friend among the horses that I've put him with.
What's up, girl? You don't want to hang out with Zig? You don't like him? A little treat. Oh. Come, Zig.
A lot of you guys are going to remember when I tried to put Ziggy and Skeletor out together. That went a lot differently than putting these two horses together is going. Scarlett can be a little bit fresh in turnout, but as soon as she went up and sniffed Ziggy and he pinned his ears at her and gave her a little bit of a warning kick, she straightened right up. Compared to Skeletor, Scarlett is a much more sensitive horse.
Zig. Oh, Zig. Hey, Zigo. You okay? What's up, Zig? Zig.
The more I get to know Ziggy, the more I've come to realize that he really expects his herd mates to be super chill, or he just does not want anything to do with them. Because Scarlett has been taught by Frisco Bill and Stewie about the proper way to act in a herd, she is acting perfect around Ziggy. She discovers very quickly that unless she is going to be nice to Ziggy, that he is just not going to want her around. Scarlett was nothing like this when I very first got her. She was actually really aggressive and kind of angry around all of the other horses. Since she's been learning how to enjoy life as a domestic horse, she has finally realized that she does not have to fight for food. That can be a huge hurdle for a wild horse or a horse that has not had access to enough feed. I really thought these two would at least trot around and play a little bit, but Ziggy seems to be rubbing off of Scarlett right away. I am really hopeful that Ziggy can be to Scarlett what I was hoping he would be to Skeletor. A really nice, chill, calming force that will keep this girl in line.
Want some hay, buddy? Zig. Poop on you, Zig. Eyeball glue. Tiny. Hello. Come to me. Oh, Tiny. Meow, meow. What's wrong, girl? Okay, Tiny. Crazy girl. Come on.
This introduction today went way better than I could have ever expected. Scarlett seemed to really match Ziggy's calm energy, and that is something that she definitely needs at this point in her training. I'm going to gather up all of the loose hay in this stall and give it to Ziggy and Scarlett to munch on. I'm not going to put too much hay in here. I want to see how these two horses interact when there's a little bit more food involved. Ziggy seems unimpressed by me trying to spy on these two while I'm in doing work. Horses do act a little bit different when there's not a human around, so I want to see what these two are actually like together. After putting in 2 tiny hay piles, it looks like I am still not going to have 1 ounce of trouble from these two. Ziggy doesn't really care too much for this straight grass hay. He really loves his alfalfa, which I do not have any more of until I get my big giant bales. Those should be coming within the month. I just checked in with my hay guy and they are just still really busy with all of the other things they got going on. I do want to fill my hay stall for the winter, but I also want to have some backup hay just in case their timeline gets pushed out a little bit. Even when I'm not watching them, it looks like Ziggy and Scarlett are just getting along like peas and carrots already. It is super cute how he just goes up to her to check in and kind of see how she's doing. As I continue to clean out the hay stall and get some of the other stalls picked out, these two really started to relax together. Ziggy even wandered over and he had himself a nice little roll in the arena sand.
Zig. Zig. Zig.
I do think that Ziggy probably likes Prim a little bit better than Scarlett, but I think these two are going to warm up to each other after just a few more turnout sessions. I still think that Ziggy probably prefers the company of a human.
Nigel.
I did order Nigel a little tiny run-in shed today. It is super cute. It's very much like the one I have in my quarantine pen, but much smaller, so I think that that will work perfect for him this winter.
Honey.
I stopped at the feed store and got some hay pellets for Frisco and Nigel. This is basically what they've been getting in their mash with the addition of some beet pulp.
Honey.
I fueled up the four-wheeler, got my straps all situated for my hay pickup today, and hurry up to get all of my chores finished so I could leave on time. Since these two were being so good to each other, I was planning on leaving them out in this little arena while I was away.
Zig. What's Mayor doing?
They've only been turned out for about 40 minutes and they've had 0 problems interacting with each other. Every once in a while, Scarlett will come up and give him a nip, but Ziggy is pretty quick to put an end to it.
That's That's not nice.
I haven't seen these two groom each other, but it looks like Ziggy is happy to get the extra snacks off of Scarlett's back. This is some really excellent desensitizing that I couldn't do myself and Scarlett definitely needs. Sometimes she is still a little bit squirmy when things touch her butt. Since I've had Ziggy, I don't think that I've seen him groom one of the other horses. He has been turned out with quite a few and he just hasn't really found one that he clicks with. Scarlett really tried hard a few times to go up and give him a few little scratches, but he just is not ready yet. Scarlett and Frisco Bill used to groom each other for hours and hours when they were turned out together. I really do hope that eventually Ziggy could grow to love this little girl. It would really help her when I start hauling her around town to have a nice steady presence showing her the ropes.
Eat the snacks. Ziggy.
Ziggy has a bunch of hay over there on the ground, but he seems to
Zig.
like this stuff that landed on top of Scarlett better. She seems a little bit unsure of it at this point, but she's tolerating it pretty well. I only have a few more minutes before I have to leave to go get the hay, and these two look like they're getting along just fine. Right when I was about to leave, though, Ziggy started pacing back and forth along one of the fence lines. I don't think Scarlett will start doing this, but it's a behavior that I don't want her to get in her little mind, so I am going to bring Ziggy in before I leave.
Okay, Ziggo. All right. Come here, Zig. Ziggo. Come on, Ziggo. You want to come in?
I was really surprised when Scarlett came up to get haltered. I'm just going to put her in the round pen so she can have more turnout for the day.
Wait.
It is pretty odd when Ziggy decides he's going to pace along one of the turnouts. He used to do it when he was turned out in the pasture sometimes. I haven't seen him do it in his stall with his run, so it might just be that he's not feeling 100% comfortable where he's at. A lot of horses do really enjoy having their own space, and I think Ziggy might just like having his own private stall where he doesn't have to worry about any other horses.
Come on, Zig. I'm coming, buddy.
Hopefully once these two bond a little bit more, he'll feel more comfortable turned out with her. As you can see, he is really excited to get back into the barn.
Ooh.
This is definitely the kind of activity that probably gave Frisco Bill a cut lip yesterday.
Nigel. Nigel. Hey, little buddy.
Before I head out for the evening, I am going to give my little trailer a once over just to make sure everything's working properly.
Tiny.
I catch
What are you
Tiny
doing,
on a
little
pretty
girl?
serious mouse hunt in the neighboring field.
What are you doing out there? Careful. Come here. Ah, Tiny. Tiny. Tiny? Okay, crazy. Come on. Come on.
Tiny was being pretty sassy, but I have a feeling when I get back with this new load of hay, she's going to be really excited about it.
Tiny. 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 Where are ya? Hey, Tiny. What do you think, girl? Tiny. What are you doing, girl?
I know you guys are always curious about how much everything costs, and I like to be really transparent because it's something that you need to know when you get into horses. This load of hay that I picked up today cost $475 and it is around 2 tons. Typically my hay stall in the barn, I do save until the worst part of winter. It is just a little bit nicer to feed small bales of hay if I can. One really exciting part of getting this hay tonight was that my back did not hurt at all. For the last couple of months, even though I really didn't want to, I've been going to physical therapy and I've been doing some forced exercises every single day. I've been having a hard time deciding whether or not it's actually been helping, but I loaded all of this hay onto my trailer by hand and then I took it off and loaded it into this hay stall, and I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. I had been feeling like I wasted a bunch of the summer with doing things that were not horse related. But going into winter, I do feel a lot better that I've been setting aside a lot of time to focus on my physical health, which is extremely important if I want to continue doing what I love doing. When I finally finished this evening, it was well past dark. Tiny was super happy about her brand new hay pile, and I was pretty stoked that I was feeling good even after unloading so much hay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.